What is up, maniacs? Welcome to another episode, another installment here, episode 43 of WMMAnia. I am your host, as always, Drake Riggs, here to bring you the latest and greatest in the world of mixed martial arts when it comes to the ladies specifically. Here today on December 20th. Don't have a lot to talk about. It's that time of year. Obviously, the UFC just ended this past weekend. For 2022, we have pretty much a full month, practically very close to it, until their first show, which is on January 14th. So we'll be recapping that one fight that went down. As you can see on today's cover, the only fight to recap today. But we actually have a whole bunch of news to get to, so that will be nice. Like I said, that time of year where not much is going on, so we're gonna have announcements for things that are coming up in the immediate future of 2023. Can you believe 2022 is already coming to a close? So today's show will be obviously the second to last episode of the year, next week being the last one. So there's not much going on today, and we're going to try and hit that perfect hour mark today. As you can see, we started 30 minutes later because, well, not much going on. And a lot going on all at the same time, just in different aspects, if you will. So feel free to get in as many questions, comments, or concerns as we can fit in that mark, you guys, because like I said, there is not, it's one of those kind of calmer, slower periods in the MMA calendar year. So if you are here for the first time or a recurring viewer, you guys, do not forget to visit us at MMAnia.com. Though, for all your news that you could possibly ask for, hit that like button here on the video. It helps us out oh so much. Just a quick little tap really goes a long way. You can share the video if you want as well. You can even subscribe to the channel. And there's that notification bell, so you never miss when we're live, even though we try to stick to schedule as best as we can for the show here, which is every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. A little bit later here today, but you know, that's just how it goes. I appreciate you being here all the same. Again, whether you're a new face or an old face, let's keep things positive and friendly, especially during these times of years where everybody could use a friend, right? And it's always nice to lift each other up whenever possible. So, with that in mind, how are we doing today, you guys? As Jin says, speaking of ranking each matchup by a number out of 10, can we also classify it as predatory or manipulative as one of the options? So yes, we're going to start ranking things, which is perfect kind of timing for all this, I think, to get to it today. We have a good amount of matchups to talk about, new matchups, and then just one fight to look back at. But yeah, I mean, I guess we can do that, even though I don't think it's going to apply very much, Jin. You know, those cases are kind of, I don't want to say rare, but I don't think they happen as much as maybe you might assume. So, like, we always point them out when they do happen, but yeah, it's kind of a rarer thing, I would say. Cintro is here, says, I have seen a lot of talk that Suarez beats Weili easy. Since fans are confident, why not make that fight in the summer and watch Weili dominate and pick her apart? Well, the thing about Suarez, and we talk about this every time, is, right, people look at her and assume, they imagine this matchup in the vacuum of 2019, right? When she was prime Tatiana. It's like, we've said it time and time again, you guys, we can't even really talk about Suarez because she's entirely hypothetical until she comes back. I'm still not even confident that she does, you know, like if she returns to form to look exactly how she was before, she has a very, very good chance of beating Weili. If they would have fought right before she left, she probably would have won at that time. I mean, it still would have been very close, but I think she rightly would have been favored. At this point, obviously you cannot, but it's like, there's literally no point in talking about her being even a threat right now, or just a fighter in general, right? She has not been for a good long time, unfortunately, because she is very good. But yeah, Weili would have to be favored now. Like, it's all relative to the timing. So it's very, very fantasy booking, fantastical. But she has a great style to do it and a great frame, all that. Rue is here, says, this is a serious question. Why do you have to pretend that Rodriguez versus Durnian Rodriguez versus Dern, Jan versus Dern, or Rodriguez versus Jan were good fights when they objectively were not. Well, that is your opinion, though. It is not objective. It's very subjective what you find as a good fight or not. So, um, I'm not pretending at all, Rue. They are not objective. That is your opinion, but that is technically wrong, which is my opinion, I guess. But it's all entirely subjective. Nothing about that, what you said right there, is objective. Um, James says, "Don't you think, in hindsight, that Whaley getting the instant rematch with Rose was a good thing because she improved exponentially and got the belt back in the same place where she lost to Rose?" I mean, it worked out. It really worked out, but it was a big risk kind of gamble. I don't even know if a risk, you would say, a risk for the UFC, right? Because they put her in that limbo spot, which she was in for not a very long time, right? It really worked out. You guys, should be thanking Carla that she managed to pull out the victory in that terrible fight. But imagine she didn't, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. So it was just still a stupid kind of move by the UFC that technically didn't pay off, but ended up working out. You know what I mean? So it all kind of developed in a very weird fashion. Centro says, "To back up my claim, Suarez had trouble with Nina, so wondering what excuse you have for Suarez underperforming." In the last round, she did, but she was completely dominant as per usual in the first two. Which in that one, I think the injury was kind of flaring up in there. No excuses there. Nina did great in the third round for sure, but that's like the only bad point of Suarez that we've seen from her. And I'm not even going to really argue about her because, again, she's not even a fighter right now. We every time we talk about her, it's too hypothetical to even, we have no idea what she'll look like if she does come back at all. And it's probably not even going to be a strawweight. She has said that she's probably coming back at flyweight. So, I mean, that'll just tell you all that is, I guess. Jimmy says, "I want to bring this up. Do you remember after Whaley lost her belt, she said she was rattled by the crowd noise?" Yes. Then everyone said she would not get better because she made excuses. Yeah, I kind of remember that. I mean, I don't know if I remember people saying she wouldn't get better because of excuses, but I know that was 100% used as an excuse against her. Yuna, good to see you. It has been a while, or maybe, I don't know, new profile picture. Very nice. Hello. Do you know how many pay-per-views that UFC 281 sold? It was the first one I bought and watched with friends. No, the ESPN does not release the numbers, so we have no way of knowing, unless there's some kind of insider leaks. But yeah, we don't get to know those anymore, unfortunately. But that was probably the card of the year. We'll see how Ryzen 40 does, though. Coming up next weekend. Yeah, that is next week. It's already just about here. My goodness. Go says, "I might bring this up to you. Did you hear what Oyama said to Carla 1 minute before she got submitted? She can't grapple with you. Then during the thrill and the agony, he tells Carla, 'Now you know you can beat this girl.' Is that delusion or just bad coaching?" Well, I don't know if I would even consider that coaching, right? Because that's not telling her to do anything. That's just his confidence / opinion, again, to go to that. And then, "Now you know that you can beat this girl." That's just kind of encouragement, but that doesn't really make sense either. And there's a whole lot of delusion that goes into coaching. We've seen it countless times between corners, during corner work, where a lot of lies, but it's all about motivating and encouraging in the end, right? That's a part of it too. But I don't know if I would consider specifically those quotes coaching, but support system, moral support, or whatever. Sintra says, "Since we like hypotheticals, Whaley would have beaten Prime Tatiana." Whaley now, I would pick to do that, but at that time, I'm not sure. But again, it's hypothetical. Rue says, "Dan Tom, Phil McKenzie, and Downward Double said those were not good fights, and I will agree with them." All right, fair enough. Their opinions. Jumbo, in general, how does one build name value in MMA? Is it long win streaks, a couple of highlight reel finishes, or say inflammatory things to make people angry? Might be a combination of all these things can help. One of them can work. Building name value, though, unfortunately, being loudest and most annoying, kind of with what you're saying, can help maybe more than those other things, which is very annoying. Like I said, just look at, what's a good example? Um, I mean, I guess you could use Colby. He's obviously somebody who comes right to mind for that. He has the long winning streak as well, had the long winning streak, but not really highlight reel finishes. So I think you kind of need at least two of those things, probably. And I mean, I guess Masvidal would work too. Talks trash and then had the highlight reel finishes in that stretch, but it wasn't a long stretch. The three, his 2019 wins against Askren Till and Nate Diaz, and really the only highlight there was the Askren one. Even though the Till one was great, they never showed it nearly as much, which understandable compared to the Askren one. Eunice says she never knows when the show is on. Fair enough. I know we've been kind of crazy the last couple weeks or so. What is up, Barton? How are you? Happy Tuesday. James says, what is the best way to grade fights? Technical, excitement, factor, pace. Well, it depends on what you're kind of grading for. I mean, it's kind of whatever, there's no specific way to do it. It's all about what you prefer to see, right? So, again, subjectivity, if you will. Rain says the Cheyenne Vlismas of ruining Christmas, the Corey McKenna of her hair shaped like an antenna, the Sergei Morozov of having a bad cough, the Lee Keybum of chewing gum, IP freely on Peter Queeley. Wow. Rain bringing the heat. Those were perfect. They were very childlike with the dirtiness. But yeah, my goodness. James, yes, I hear you. Those were fantastic. I like them. A great segue, though, as you mentioned, Vlismas and McKenna. So let's talk about the one and only fight that we have to recap this weekend, or this week. It happened this weekend at UFC Vegas 66 in the strawweight division. Corey McKenna went out there and defeated Cheyenne Vlismas via unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. Let me pull the stats up here. A clean sweep. As we can see, outlanded in totals, 103-66. Very nice. 2 takedowns. And then outstruck her in every round except for that second one there had the takedown and the takedown in the first one as well. And then, pretty dominant, heavy in the control there with the 444, the time and all the strikes in the third round. Pretty clear victory and a pretty solid performance from Poppins. She started off a little bit slow. I thought she was getting tagged up by that right hand of Vlismas. She was timing it very well. Was Cheyenne finding a home for it? That's really the only complaint that I can have about Corey McKenna in this one, though. She showed some good improvement. Still very young, so it's not all surprising. She's 23. Hands looked sharp, if I can speak, from what she was throwing, and then used them to get in and kind of change up the game plan, get the fight to the ground a little bit more as it progressed. I mean, shitload of control, as you can see here with the actual numbers and the time. It was very obvious just watching the fight, but 4 minutes in round 2 and then 4:44 practically the entire round. So yeah, first round, obviously the most competitive that you could probably say for Vlismas. For some reason, I feel like I don't recall which rounds I scored properly, but it had to be first round for Cheyenne, because of course it started out where she was landing with that right hand very nicely, and then it was great adaptations and adjustments there from McKenna to get around it and seal the deal. So there's some promise there. She's looking better. You'll love to see it. And if we're to throw out the number for this one, honestly, so as I forget who mentioned it, I'll look at the comments here in a moment, but about the grading system, for me, I'll mention this for what I'm looking at and how I'm going to grade this. It was like a very solid 5 for me. It was just a fight. It was just a fight. I didn't think it was overly exciting or entertaining. I enjoyed watching it just fine, but wasn't jumping out of my seat. Liked to see the improvements and adjustments made from McKenna throughout and all that. But I don't know if I'd push it over, maybe a 5.5 because of that, but it was just a fine normal 5 for me. And you guys know that I'm, relatively hard to please. Usually. So no, not hard to please. Hard not to please. So I don't know how many like terrible scores I'm gonna be giving out through this new process, but uh I'll always keep it real with you. I'll be honest with how I feel about it. So Rue was very impressed, says those rhymes were actually great from Rain. Yeah, he's getting better and better each time. James agrees. The puns were great. For once, he says, ouch. All right. So Rain's stepping it up as he does his best for the rest. Oh, look at this guy. He's just on a roll. Synchro says, did this result for Corey surprise you guys? Or is this a question for everybody? I was hearing that Cheyenne would dominate pre-fight. Never felt that way. I mean, you guys were here last week, but I wasn't surprised by it. I thought it was still like, relatively competitive when Cheyenne didn't get like completely dominated or like smashed. It was a clear victory for McKenna, but I don't think it was so one-sided that it shocked me. Barton says Poppins like Mary Poppins. I would assume so. That would make sense to me. Jimmy says McKenna versus Fry or Vlismas versus Fry next. How does Rain come up with these puns and getting better every week? He's just he's learning the craft, man. But as for those matchups, Jin versus either one. Well, Jin is coming off a pretty rough loss there, so I'd probably go with the loser. She can fight Cheyenne next. Not sure they'd do that though. But Jimmy's fine with the 5 out of 10. All right, so there we go. Centro gives it a 4.5, so you're pretty close. All right, yeah. So it's around there. It was just pretty fine, just fine. And 5, like that's not bad. That's what you want at a minimum, right? So there you go. Barton says this ranking thing is very unique. I think it's great since no other MMA show does it. I consume a lot of MMA media. All right, very cool. Maybe we can, yeah, we'll keep it going. And Ghost agrees with the 5 out of 10. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it was just totally fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to further go into things here, we have a little bit of a special follow-up as again, we're kind of filling time a little bit, even though it is still a short hour episode. Today, let me adjust things. Ghost was particularly tickled by the performance, though, if you will. So Corey McKenna gets her own little mini breakdown here after an improvements shown in a solid win to get on a winning streak here after the Granger win beforehand with the Von Flu. So now we're going to pull that on up. A mini breakdown for Poppins, which that nickname is growing on me the more that I say it. So let's go full screen as we do. Get the copyright disclaimer out of the way under the Section 107 of the Copyright Act. It's 1976, of course. So let that sit on the screen just for a moment so people know. No fair play here. Just breaking it down. Ghost says, I've notoriously given Corey McKenna a hard time on WMMAnia. Yes, of course, in the last so many performances. However, I thought she showed improvements and adaptations from her last fight. The fight itself was not all that great, but improving in what matters. So that is what matters. But so there you go. Yeah, we gave it a 5 out of 10. I mean, performance-wise, yeah, we could do that. We could do performance and the fight itself, right? So I think the fight was a pretty solid 5. Performance-wise from Corey, though, I'd go like maybe a 6, 6.5. I think she's definitely above 5. I feel comfortable with 6 for her. Definitely no higher, though. I think that's about right. As he says, despite having a massive reach advantage, Corey was able to establish a jab. Very true. She's got incredibly tiny arms, lengthwise, which we discussed is possible for a shorter fighter with a short reach. So there you go. McKenna probes with the jab and sees that Vlismas stays on her own line. Does a nice job controlling the space, preventing Vlismas from just entering when she wants to. Yeah, putting it out there. Lovely jab lands and great dip to get her head off the line to avoid her opponent's jab. Yeah, that was very clean. One of the best ways to build off dipping jab is to hook off it, which the boys from WMMAnia love. Well, who in their right mind doesn't? Yeah, her head movement was good there, getting that off in this one. Really a pretty big difference from you remember the heat-seeking missile of Elise Reed's hand in their fight. Probing the jab from McKenna allows her to control space and land the right hand. So there's the bink. Here comes the bonk. Yeah. Right hand lands inside the hook, a classic boxing sequence. This time, the right hand controls the space, which sets up the left hook. Yeah, sneaks it under nicely. Both land left hooks, but since McKenna probed first before entering, she gets the better of the exchange since the probe gave her an extra tempo. This is a 50-50 clinch along the fence. McKenna works her head to the underhook side. Head is now on the underhook side, making it hard to disengage. Level change to threaten the takedown. Always good to do. Make your opponent think a little bit. Working. All fight, McKenna did a good job recycling position along the cage. This won't win you a lot of fans, but it's a good cage wrestling system, and the onus is on the opponent to escape. Yeah, it was. We saw the control numbers nearly the whole entire round, which I'm assuming this is from the third round. Anyway, even in the second round, she was able to find good moments there. As Ghost says, let's be honest here, the fight with Reed was not good from either fighter. Reed was sprinting across distance, throwing right hand leads and a flaccid side kick, while McKenna had no answer for it. The fight was MMA at very low level, considering neither had any good tactical or strategic ideas. All right, so there we are. However, in this fight, McKenna improved by controlling space and getting her jab off through feints and good entries, and her wall wrestling looked decent. Now, do I, Ghost, think McKenna is a future world beater? Probably not, but she did show good ideas in her striking that could help her in future fights despite always having a physical disadvantage. All right, there you go. And yeah, Ghost, it's very, very difficult to disagree with you. Very hard to disagree with you about here, let me get this all proper. About McKenna being, championship potential yet. It's far too soon. Yeah, I'm not going to say she's even top 15 yet, but she's getting better. She's still very young, as we talked about in our DMs. So no one should assume those kind of drastic predictions after this one. But she gets more positive than negative for this one. A 5 out of 10 on the fight, and I'd give her, a 6 on the performance if we're to separate them. But you guys tell me what you think about that. So Rain says, did not expect Ghost to make Corey McKenna to get one after Ghost rips her a lot. Well, hey, the man credit where it's due. Yes, she does. Rue says, copyright so you don't get in trouble. That's good, right? Have you gotten in trouble? No, we're all good. We've never gotten in trouble, but we just have to be a little bit more careful, here at the old Mania zone, if you will. Jimmy says, so does that mean Poppins is an all-time great or has Ghost cursed her? I guess we will find out soon enough. Citro says, hooking off the jab. We are big fans of that, of course. Jumbo says, how come we don't always see these breakdowns every week? Well, they might be returning. It was like who just asked that? Sorry. Rio. Yeah, about copyright kind of worries were kind of the big thing there. And so if we do them, they're probably not going to get separated videos like we did at the scrap or anything like that, just to stay a little extra safe. Because I'm not sure if those are still up, but like the scrap can get in trouble now, potentially. Who knows? We could have completely fucked their channel and it eventually, if they get bigger and bigger and then somebody sees those and files a report. We'll see, but I'm out of the woods there. Is what it is, I guess. But Jimmy says, how far can McKenna take this new style? It's hard to say. Like I just said, I'm not sold on her being top 15 just yet, but I think she's looking like a solid prospect who can continue to rack up some wins against, I don't know what kind of fighters I would say, but I think she's looking fine. It's too soon to tell still, I would say. She ain't no Erin Blanchfield, who we'll talk about soon enough. Flaccid comes back. Yes, it does. Ending on a positive, of course. Even though it's Flaccid's not good. Depends on the situation, I guess. Jin says that's a good point, though. She has a 53-inch reach and made the most of it. Will that help against someone like Yaraguay? The reach itself won't, but the fact that she was able to, overcome her own deficiencies is good. And if she can do that against Yasmin, she could do that against someone in theory, right? But yes. The short reach does nothing, doesn't help against anybody, but how you use it, right? It's all about how you use it. There's so many innuendos that just came out right in that final sequence there. But that's UFC Vegas 66, you guys. The final UFC fight that we'll be talking about this year. At least to recap. So it had, better discussion about it than could have predicted. So I think we are all good there. Worked nicely. As Jen says, she's jabbed up Blismas, who is bigger and more athletic. Does that count for anything? Yeah, of course. Whenever you can overcome those kind of physical disadvantages, that's always something to be impressed by and be able to overcome. That's always great. So yeah, I'm not gonna say Corey can't be a top 15er, but I'm not ready to go there just yet. So, all right, you guys, let's get to this big old news bundle. Actually, how big is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights to talk about. All right, so a decent amount. I like a lot of them. I think I like practically all of them. Well, let's just get into it then, shall we? I was about to say, but starting things off in the flyweight division, 125 pounds, Alejandra Lara will be taking on Diana Avsaragova. Bellator 290 on February 4th, the CBS card in Los Angeles, California, at the Forum, as reported by Mr. Danny Segura. So this is them pulling the trigger on Diana in the top 10, right? Or kind of giving her the chance to show that she's ready for this. I don't even know if she's still ranked in the top 10. I don't follow the Bellator rankings too much unless there's kind of something crazy that happens, and I'm curious to see what's going on in there. But she was 10 for a little bit, bounced and floated around in and out towards the 8 to 10 range. Still undefeated, still looks great. Has been rounding out her game and fighting a little bit more patiently and methodically than people would like. What had kind of that scare in her last one. It's been a while since she fought. I think it was, I don't know if it was the Golfin one was her last fight, but was scored against her, which was ridiculous. That was a terrible scorecard to be handed out against her. But this is all about Diana Avsaragova. Alejandra Lara, we've seen kind of the ceiling here. Her grappling it is just not getting any better. But she's on a 2-fight losing streak again. Always very fun. And when she fights with a striker, we can see some brilliance out of her, very nice elbows at times. Diana, somebody who I could see being willing to strike with her, especially as she's been trying to work on her striking in her fights, like the last one, like I said, but has a great, wrestling background. So she'd be very wise to lean on it in this one. We'll see if she does, but this is a very intriguing fight because it's one of those where we're seeing if the new kid on the block a little bit is ready for the step up. And I think this is like perfect matchup to test that. It's a favorable one. You want to talk about the predatory versus manipulative. I don't think not manipulative at all. And I'm not going to say it's not predatory either, just because of the fact that Lara isn't winning right now. If she was on a winning streak, then 100%. I guess you could still, kind of depends how you look at it there, but I don't think so. I think it's kind of a changing of the guard potential test, even though I don't know about that, but a little gatekeeperish is what Lara is at this point. So I think this is pretty fine as a matchup. I'm very intrigued by it for pretty much the story around Diana and getting that fresh blood in there potentially. And stylistically, it's very intriguing because Lara is just the better striker. And we'll see if Diana wants to continue to try and show off her striking abilities, because she is primarily a grappler from her background and what we've seen in her career thus far, majorly, even though she's able to mix it up very nicely and obviously absolutely destroyed her opponent in the debut in very quick fashion. Packs a good punch and power herself. So I love this fight. I really do. I think that it will tell us if it's too soon. We won't be able to say if it's too soon for Diana until it happens. So with that, I'm going to give this a very solid 8. I'm very excited for this one. 8 out of 10 for me as a matchup. And matchmaking wise, I think it's very fine. I have no problems with it. And I've just been very intrigued with Diana Efsarigova as a prospect anyway. But again, maybe Lara will prove us wrong. Prove me wrong, I guess I should say. But looking forward to that one for sure. And with that, we stay in the flyweight division, though, as JoJo is back. JoJo Wood. She is taking on Luana Carolina. UFC 286 on March 18th in London, England. It makes sense for her to go back, not home necessarily, right? She's from Scotland, but to have this matchup back there. And JoJo not in the rankings anymore. She wanted a break after the last fight. You want to talk about gatekeepers, which I hate to kind of throw that word around, but JoJo has definitely 100% become a gatekeeper in the flyweight division and does not have many fights left in her career. You forget that she's getting close to 40. She's like 36, 37 now, I think. So we're not going to see JoJo around for too much longer. So just try and book a fun fight, I guess. Like obviously throwing her a little bit of a bone here, coming back against Luana, who is not a top 15 fighter, which is primarily what JoJo has been fighting. And she's coming on. This is going to be Carolina's first fight since the spinning elbow, right? So taking some good time to recover from that. I mean, smart of her. Very nasty. But yeah, stylistically, I mean, this fight should be Muay Thai all up in your face, really. And, you know, it's because of the fact that we know JoJo she's just not going to be a champion or a title challenger at this point. I mean, unless, I don't know, she shows off something crazy in this one. I doubt it. I have no problem with her just kind of having some fun fights or whatnot, working her way back in gradually if she can. And stylistically, like I said, this should be an all-action, kind of Muay Thai affair from both of them. So with that in mind, I like this fight a lot, this matchup as well. The matchmaking, I have no problem with, all the factors considered. So I'm going to throw that's a solid 7. That's a solid 7 for me. Yeah, I'm good with this one. I think it's fine. Should be fun. Doesn't really affect anything too much. It just is what it is. So I'm good with that. And I've always liked watching JoJo for the most part too. She's broken the hearts a couple times, had her heart broken, but that's just how it goes. So now something is wrong here. There we go. It wasn't letting me click on the tabs. But then we move up to the bantamweight division, where the preacher's daughter is back. Holly Holm versus Yana Kunitskaya has been added to UFC San Antonio, March 20. Is that 25th, right? I can't see it at the moment. 25th, yes. Did not specify if this was main event yet. I would kind of hope not, just for the Yana side of things. I don't think this needs to be a main event necessarily. We can do Holly Co-main if you absolutely have to have her up there. But since it's a fight night card in a non-Vegas city, I think there's a good chance we'll have a pretty decent card there. I mean, the last one was very good, right? In Texas. But intriguing matchup here, and I'm specifically kind of intrigued by it for the fact that I've always kind of said Yana Kunitskaya is a bit more of an aggressive Holly Holm, which has not, worked out in her favor a whole bunch. But because of that, and she's been that way because of they used to train together. I mean, not for a super long time, I don't think, but they were training partners at Jackson Wink. Of course, that's Holly's home base and all. So I'm very compelled to see how much they know each other or are willing to kind of go at it, just how it's going to play out because of their relatively unique styles. And obviously for Holly, continuing to try and make a run after the last fight against Ketlin, and then Yana, her first fight since becoming a mother again, right? Because she and Thiago Santos had their child. So she hasn't fought since the Irene Aldana fight, December 2021. So yeah, I'm not mad at it. I think rankings-wise is pretty perfect too, right? They're pretty around each other, top 10 fighters. Holly, we don't have to worry about her getting title shot off of this victory. If Yana wins, then hey, Yana gets closer. She hasn't fought for a title yet. Is going to need to do some more work, though, of course, if she does pull it off. But I'm perfectly fine with this. And stylistically, it can either be very exciting or very boring, I think, because again, they're pretty similar, and they're going to know each other in there, so that can prevent you from kind of maybe being as more cautious, I suppose, because you are worried about what your opponent is ready for, I suppose. But with that in mind, I will give this one again. I feel pretty 7 about this. 7 seems right for me. I like it, and what can kind of come out of it. So no problems there. No problems there with the matchmaking. And then we move on to still the bantamweight division. Lena Landsberg is taking on Mayra Bueno Silva. UFC Vegas 69, February 18th. So, MBS, Shitara, right? She's trying to make her climb through the division, get some new blood in there. Just submitted Egger in that very weird kind of stoppage, right? And then Lena Landsberg, this is 100% her last chance to stay on the UFC roster, because I'm pretty sure the last one, I'm surprised she's getting another shot here. But sticking around, and not a quick turnaround necessarily. What her fight was last month? I get everything so confused these days. It's all a blur. But yeah, either way, Lena has not been winning very much, and then had the inactivity for her own, motherly duties. And MBS has the hot hand, the momentum right now. So she's definitely, I don't know if this is predatory either. Not manipulative, definitely not. See, like, that's not going to come up very much, you guys. I don't know if we should mention that, but obviously the upside is here. Here is with MBS, more dangerous fighter overall. But Lena is a gamer. She is incredibly tough. So she will make Mayra work for it. But and rankings wise, like, the bantamweight division is just incredibly shallow. So I know that she's got to be around the back, especially considering her losses as of late. But it's fine. This one's fine. I'm going to drop on the scale a little bit right here. I'll say it's about a 5. It is what it is. I don't really care too much about Cena. I'm more interested. The 5 is practically all for me being curious about Mayra Bueno Silva continuing to potentially climb the division and give it some life that it needs. So that's practically my entire interest there. And as a matchup, it being made, yeah, it's fine too. It's not crazy illogical or anything. So a veteran and whatnot in Landsberg for Silva. So, all right, I'm going to catch up on the comments here before I get to the news from today. 2 fights from today that I'm very excited to talk about for 2 very different reasons. And so I want to have some breathing here from you guys. And where's Alvin, by the way? Is he here? Alvin, make yourself known, buddy. I hope you're doing okay. Shout out to Alvin if he is not here. He missed the last couple episodes, so hopefully he's all right. Where are we now? James says, do I think Whaley laid the blueprint to beat Carla? The 6 people Carla beat were all afraid of her wrestling. Should they start throwing kicks and striking with her? No, I don't think Whaley did. I mean, we've seen Carla beat before, right? So I think she maybe laid a new blueprint, a new way to beat her, I suppose. But Yeah, I mean, you should always kind of you should always want to strike with Carla. You know, she's obviously not the best of strikers in the division. As Rio says, why is it when Whaley mentions Valentina in any sort of context, your MMA media cohort say she needs to prove herself first? Well, I mean, it's pretty clear, Rio. You know, title defenses, longevity. Valentina is much more established as an all-time great and legend, champion, all these things than Whaley. Doesn't. If it was anybody else, they would say this. People would say the same thing. And you know, for earning a shot too, or I mean, it's weird to say earning for different divisions. Like that doesn't really make sense. But before we see it, I don't even know. I don't know if that is even the proper quote to use, proving yourself, because obviously they prove themselves by becoming champion. But yeah. But when Durner or Carlos say something about Valentina, they say, oh, that could be interesting, or Carlos is right to be terrified. Lost me a bit there. Jumbo says, maybe you can ask Whaley this in the future. I would love to. She mentioned in an interview that she likes to use techniques of the people she has fought. All right. Can you ask why does she like to do that? I mean, learning, right? And taking from what she's experienced. She mentioned on Migu Live, she's taken Rose's footwork, Joanna's distance, Carlos grappling, and Andrade's power. I don't know if you can take that last one necessarily, but yeah, I mean, it's evolution, right? And taking from the experiences, like I said, what is it? A little bit Kirby-like. Would you say Kirby, who's Ditto from Pokemon? You could make one of those comparisons, transforming and adapting to your surroundings a little bit, or again, experiences. Mary, how are you? It's been so long. I've been looking for your show. Really? Well, we're here. We're here, Mary. You know, every Tuesday, typically around this time. Just subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. There you go. You won't miss a thing. Always helps out, even though some people said that it didn't go off a couple weeks ago, but it doesn't hurt to hit it anyway. James says, throw JoJo Wood a nice bone, but we don't like the manipulative BS. I don't think it's manipulative at this point, James. I don't think I even addressed that for that one. But at this, like, she's been out for, over a year now, taking her little break, has been losing. Like, it's definitely a drop, right, in competition level. But, yeah. It's I think it's fine. I don't think it's manipulative at all. Like, Carolina can be competitive there. I'm not going to predict her to win necessarily, but yeah. So, Barton says, do you think that Holly Holm is still riding the wave of popularity that she got her from head kicking Ronda back in the day? Like, why is this on a main card? Well, it 100% should be on a main card. It's a top contender fight, top ranked fighter fight between bantamweight fighters. But I don't know if she's still riding that wave. It's obviously been a long time. Still very popular, but that's what everyone is going to remember her for, of course. So, yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Jimmy says, what's more prevalent in MMA, a fighter with massive power but low finishing ability, or a fighter with good finishing ability but little power? A fighter with massive power but low finishing rate, or a fighter with good finishing ability but little power? I think probably the second one. I'd probably lean towards the second one, because usually if there's good power, they can, make the best of that. Karen, how are you? I drink the cool host. You are too kind. Thank you. Yes, of course, I did, Rain. I was afraid that would be ignored since kind of a troll. No, it's funny. I love the fake names. I love the fake names. Rio says, I mean, when Carla and Dern talk about Valentina, why does your cohorts praise them for it? I haven't seen this, but I don't know. Like, you guys ask me questions all the time about what other people think. Like, I can't speak for them. I don't know. And I don't even see this stuff. Jimmy says, like, Jeremy Stevens' low finishing ability, but high power. That's a very good, actually, example. Yeah, because Jeremy obviously can put out anybody, but yeah, he hasn't done in a while. I don't even know what his knockout numbers are, but let's see here. I know I see some very big questions, but running short on the time here. We got 15 minutes left, so I don't know if I will be able to get around to these here. Let me get through the news first. Let me get to the news first. And then he says, and Paul Craig is low power, but high finishing. Yes. Yeah. So like that obviously pertains to more grappling than anything. But as for the news, closing things out here, surprise of the day, Satoko Shinashi, the legend herself, returning after a 3-year layoff at age 45 to take on Reina Kobayashi in a manipulative BS matchup at Deep 112 Impact, Big Deep, on February 11th, same day as UFC 284. My goodness. Didn't expect to see that today. Obviously, Satoko has been wanting to fight or saying she's not retired, not done. At least since I spoke to her last year when I talked to her, I asked her, is it still possible? You still want to do this? And yeah, she's been training and posting pictures of herself getting in shape. So she's actually doing it. Satoko Shinashi coming back after her loss to a Nisei in 2019 and gets a presumed layup here. But Satoko, older now, and still one of the smallest humans to ever have fought. She's very tiny, but was very damn good. As you can tell by her record, the woman with, for a long time, the most fights for a woman in MMA history. Now she's going to tie Roxanne Modafferi once again, who passed her up recently before retiring herself. So Satoko, I'm thrilled about that. A legend, like I said, pioneer. You don't see this kind of thing happen all too often with kind of these unique unicorn mythical type of fighters, but she's doing it. She's actually coming back. So I'm looking forward to that. And because of that specifically, obviously this is supposed to be for her, right? This kind of matchup with a 2-2 fighter in Kobayashi, who has been fighting recently. She just got a solid win over, I forget who it was. I was looking earlier, but my entire intrigue here is getting to see Shinashi fight live, because I never have, or trying to fight live or fight recently, because I'm not sure if I will actually end up seeing this live, because Deep can be a little bit tricky with that for us Americans, but it always makes things special. So this is like a 7 for me, just because I love history and, giving these legends some respect and whatnot. So I'm entirely giving this like a 7 off of my excitement to see, or curiosity, to see Shinashi back. She's not going to go on a run or anything like that. It's probably not going to be a very good fight either for her or, in terms of like looking nice and all that with the time away and the age and everything. But I'm just such a sucker for history and legends. So that's where I'm at with it. But Ryu says, who do I place responsibility on manipulative BS like this? The fighter who accepts the promotion both. So we talked about this with Fujino in her last Pancrase fight, right? Or one of her, I think it was her last one. It's totally both. Like the fighters are never going to say no, but it falls way more on depending on situation, right, for the fighter, but they're making money either way. And why not take the easier one if that's what's given to you? So it's much more on the promotion, I think, for offering and thinking of that in the first place. Yuna says, is it common for someone with a decorated record to fight a 2-2 fighter? Well, not typically. We see it a bit over in Asia and smaller promotions like this. Oh, not like this, excuse me. But smaller promotions, it depends, right? It's very dependent, but it can happen, obviously. James says, yeah, this rating system is actually very helpful because we have an objective thing to measure on matchups and post fights. All right. Okay. There we go. Rio says, does Fujino count as a manipulative since she lost her fight? That's right. She did lose the Karen one, right? So, well, that's the thing, right? Is it looks, you can see it, right? But then if they end up losing, is it really manipulative? So that's like a question you just got to ask yourself. I don't know if there's a right answer to it, but on paper, it's like very clear. When the outcome is very clear what it should be like this, because of the experience in history and all that, it's a little manipulative. Like it's not as bad, I don't think, since Shinashi hasn't fought and she's older now and whatnot, but should still probably win, but we'll find out. And Amika Nagano has been doing this, recently too, and she just lost. So it's like, was it? It's like it brings up that argument, but I don't know. I'm can't believe she's actually gonna fight again. I did not think she was going to. I really did not. Really did not. Okay. Let's see here. All right, the last bit of news for the day before we wrap up. Um, real quickly, Rain throwing something at us here. Hold on. Whoa. I don't know I can do that. Anthony Smith said the crucifix short choke is not a real move in MMA. Do you believe him, even though it happened at the co-main? I've seen it happen in IBJJF multiple times, but I'm not a pro fighter, so my opinion doesn't count. I mean, it's literally a move, right? Like, it's not a common move whatsoever, so I would assume that's what he means. And we've seen Mackenzie Dern do the same thing to Montana De La Rosa in LFA back when she was on her rise. And those are like the only two times I've ever seen it in MMA. So it's very clearly a move. Like, I'm assuming Anthony means it's not like a common one, because it definitely isn't. Or like maybe something you practice. I'm sure it's also what he means. But is this a cool nickname for Glover? Glover T? Says James. I guess. I mean, it's just kind of his name, right? But anyway, last fight that we're going to be talking about here today was made also today, like the Shinashi one. Big one at flyweight. Tyler Santos is coming back after the Shevchenko loss, and she's taking on Erin Blanchfield. Bum, bum, bum. Here we are, you guys. This is a big one, and this is a bit of a surprise too, potentially, right? Because we knew Blanchfield was destined for that top contender status, the top upper echelon one day, but now that day is February 18th. If she pulls it off, like, she's probably, you would assume, maybe title shot, depending on where things are around that point. I mean, I don't know how much can shake out since then. Shevchenko needs to fight. I would imagine she wants to get like March is what she's been saying. So maybe she'll fight Grasso or Furo. You would think now at this point, or if they make the Nunes trilogy, who fucking knows? There's so many variables with the flyweight division at the very top. This throws another wrinkle in there. Erin Blanchfield getting her biggest fight yet. And it's practically like a title fight because, you know, Tyler Santos could arguably be the champion. So this is huge for her. I kind of want this to be main event. I think that would be pretty amazing. That'd be huge for Erin to have 5 rounds. Did not say if it is yet. But yeah, it's a big one. It'll definitely should be one of the high 3 fights on the UFC Vegas 69 card. But I love this, man. You know, it is always gonna feel, I think, like it's too soon for Erin, or like not too soon, right? Because again, I've you guys know how high I've been on her. I've said she's the best prospect and everything in MMA for a long time. Then Sayaka Zawa came along, and then now they're both not prospects anymore. Like, they're legitimate, the best in Sayaka, and then Erin is one of the best as well, a top contender, or a contender who is climbing. Like, she's kind of jumping over everybody. So it's a little bit of a worry, right? Going from Molly to Santos without anybody in between. That's a little bit quick feeling to me. Like, I would have went one more between that, but here we are. Considering how good and strong she has looked and where she's best at, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to me. Obviously, Tyler can hang greatly on the ground herself, despite her striking background. She's going to have the edge there for sure. So on the ground is where this will be very fascinating and very telling, because Tyler Santos has, you know, superseded expectations after her first UFC fight and having that the most padded record of all time as well, because her record is insanely padded. But she ended up proving that she was actually legit good. So it's kind of catch-22 crazy. You don't see that very often. But I think this is like a 9 for me, because it's very, very interesting. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. I love Erin Blanchfield always. I really grown to like Santos too, ever since the winning streak she went on, and, you know, believed she had a shot at Shevchenko and then did very well. Don't remember. I don't think I scored it for her. Obviously, it was very competitive, very close, had the eye issue. But it's a very important and very intriguing fight for both of them. You know, Tyler wants to stick around and get her rematch and all that. Stylistically, it's a tough one. It's like the absolute biggest test you could probably give to Erin without throwing her right to Shevchenko. I mean, you know, Grasso is a tricky one, and so is Furo, but Santos, she just has, her grappling has looked better probably than both of theirs, at least. Yeah, I think that's comfortable to say. And, when she's going to have the striking edge against Aaron for sure, and the length and everything, like, Tyler Santos is a big flyweight. So this is very, very much a surprise, but kind of a welcome surprise. I don't hate it just yet. I think even if Aaron, suffers a setback here, it's not the end of the world. And she, I don't think she'll like get completely outclassed. I think she'll be able to make it competitive enough. I think she is that good right now. And she's going to be a top contender, top 5 anyways. It's a matter of time. So I guess why not make the time now is the UFC's thinking, I suppose. But this is something. This is very much something. So Go says, Valentina's greatest evasion yet. Can't calm down to the fans. I don't know what's going on there. Very interesting. Tyler getting booked before Valentina after having her orbital surgery and all that. And then the outside issues with the gym. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I can't wait for that. That's going to be some good shit there. So yeah, more positive than negative if we can look back at all the rankings. Nothing below 5 today, whether in the recaps or the news. So that's good. That's a good show. A good first installment of a full ranking system here today, right? Not mad at that whatsoever. Glad to go out with some positivity on the holiday season. But we're not done yet because you guys do know it is Tuesday now. And perhaps Tactical Tuesday is going to become a regular thing. I mean, we got episode 2 right here. So let's get on into it. Oops, hold on. That's the copyright again. Last week, we explored how to set up body kicks with high kicks. This week, we explore the tactical idea of using body kicks to initiate wrestling or grappling exchanges. So here we are with Gamrot Tsarukyan. Gamrot enters into striking range with a rear straight, leaving the open side exposed. Tsarukyan lands a lead body kick on Gamrot's exposed ribs. Gamrot does a great job catching the kick, but this does show how easy it is to catch body kicks. Tsarukyan immediately posts his hand green to defend the single leg, so he kicked the body and forced a wrestling exchange. This is not what we are focused on today. However, Team Whaley understood that Carla likes to circle into a southpaw stance. That should be Whaley's trigger to score a body kick. Huge rear hand lands on the open side, but is still caught because body kicks are easy to catch since all one has to do is overhook the leg. Immediately, Whaley begins to limp leg, but Carla stops it by using a far side leg drag. Whaley posts her arm to create space. Instead of disengaging, Whaley used that space as an opportunity to take the back. Excuse me. The position is known as the crackdown, a very technical position. Usually when Carla gets this position against other opponents, they end up in guard bottom since they don't know what to do here. Whaley hip heists out and enters into a crucifix. This grappling exchange was created by Whaley body kicking. Another kick there. For the Carla Defense Force, claiming a moral victory. This was incorrectly awarded as a takedown. This was not a takedown, he says. A takedown is awarded when a fighter deliberately grapples the opponent to the ground and establishes an advantageous position All right, so we're getting into the specifics now. Okay. Specifics of what makes a takedown. Weili places her weight on Carla's head and Weili's own foot to give her space to hit a defensive cutback. Weili hits this beautiful collegiate-style cutback because of the placement on her far side hand. Not related to the tactic, but a weird habit by Weili here. When she gets set to side control, she starts to throw elbows instead of using a crossface. Very odd. Why aren't more jiu-jitsu savants using body kicks as a tactic to achieve their goal of grappling? They get their body kick caught. They can start grappling. Opponent doesn't catch the body kick. Then they land a body kick. Is this idea too crazy to execute? Think about it. Jiu-jitsu specialists don't even need to learn how to wrestle with this tactic. All right. Well, there you have it. A tactical Tuesday for you. And I think Ghost answered his own question there once again. But again, it's just a matter of kind of implementing these kind of strategies and pulling them off when you can. So sorry for the distraction, you guys. There's a ruckus going on in here. Rios is Tactical Tuesday, but it's like I said, what if your show shows up on Sunday? Yeah, I know. We'll have to change it then. I'll think of a different different name for a temporary. That was Armin. Sincho says Armin versus Matsu Gamrot. I'm assuming means we fight a sleeper fight, if we recall that. Is it me or is it Choppy, or does that help with copyright? That's probably just my connection being shitty, Karen. I apologize. Ghost says you didn't read the part that no matter how hard she works, she will never beat Weili. Well, I mean, did I miss? I'm trying to breeze through here, Ghost. I'm going over time, but opinion. Shade is back for Ghost. Yeah, see, exactly. Didn't Armin use this week's tactic? How does Ghost know these things? He knows how they do it. But all right, you guys, I got to get rolling. Just slightly a minute over. Appreciate you all so much for tuning in. As always, don't forget to visit WMMAnia.com for all your MMA needs. And don't forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you enjoy the show. I've been at DrakeRiggs_ here on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me if you'd like. And Broaden Horizon is coming soon. Episode 22. 22 to close out 22. Very exciting, right? How about that? But until then, stay tuned for next week, you guys. And we'll have the last show next week. And then the awards will be coming up to kick off January and the new year. So, all right. I think that about does it. Stay safe and stay sane. You guys enjoy the holiday season if you celebrate and whatever. Appreciate you so much. As Central closed out saying the Drake Riggs of Biggs, my way of trying reigns. But there you go. All right, guys. I will see you next time.